Hello, Year 3. So here we are for the next instalment of Fortunately the Milk. And this time there are ponies in it because I can see some pictures here. Can you see those? There they are. Below me on the plain, a number of brightly coloured ponies were gathered, and when I picked up the emerald, one of them shouted up at me, "You must be the man without the milk. We have heard about you in our tales." "Why, you're a pink pony with a blue star on the side?" I asked. "I know," said the pony with a sigh. "It's what everybody's wearing these days. Pale blue stars are so last year." Professor Steg leaned over the side of the balloons basket. "Hurry up," he called. "If the volcano is going to go off, it could do it at any moment." The volcano made a noise like a huge burp, and the middle of it collapsed into itself. "We thought it would do that," said a green pony with a sparkly mane. "There was a prophecy, I suppose," I said. "No, we're just very clever." All the ponies nodded. They were very clever ponies. "I am so glad there were ponies," said my sister. I got back into the balloon. Professor Steg unhooked the first emerald from his time machine and replaced it with the one that I had just taken from the weathered face of Splod in the future. "Do not, whatever else you might do," said the professor, "touch those two stones together." "Why not?" "Because according to my calculations, if the same object from two different times touches itself, one of two things will happen. Either the universe will cease to exist, or three remarkable dwarfs will dance through the streets with flower pots on their head." "That sounds astonishingly specific," I said. "I know, but it is science, and it is much more probable that the universe will end." "I thought it would be," I said. "You look so sad," Professor Steg told me. "I am. It's the milk. My children are breakfastless." "The milk," said Professor Steg, "of course." And with that, Professor Steg pressed the red button with his heavily armoured tail. There was a zoom, a twarp, and a thang, and we were hurtling through the cosmic void. And then it was dark, very dark. "Oops," said Professor Steg. "Overshot a little. Only by a week, though. Hold on." Professor Steg leaned over the side of the basket. "Excuse me," he said. "Is there anyone around?" "Only me," said a very surprised-sounding voice from below us. "The priest of Splod? Who is that up in the sky? Is it a bird? You do not sound like a bird." "I'm not a bird," said Professor Steg. "I am a marvellous yet mysterious prophetic voice, telling you a mighty prophecy. So mighty that it's very mighty indeed. Listen, when a huge and good-looking, spiny-backed individual—" "Monster," I told him. "The prophecy said monster." "Accompanied by a scrawny human being of revolting appearance," said Professor Steg. That was not necessary. "Lands in a floaty ball-person carrier. You must not sacrifice them. You must instead take them to the eye of the volcano. And this shall be the way that you shall know them. The human will hold up some milk." "Is that the prophecy?" said the voice. "Yes." "Is there anything about crops in it?" "I'm afraid not." "Oh well, thanks anyway." Prophetic and mysterious voices from the air. I pressed the red button, and there was daylight. We were in the middle of a very familiar volcanic eruption. And in the middle of these pages is a lovely big picture of that. Let's see it. There's Splod and the erupting volcano. Oops, let's fold it back again. Daylight. We were in the middle of a very familiar volcanic eruption. "Quickly," I said, "give me the emerald." A little way away, I could see a balloon being blown through the sky, while fire and ash were swept around it by the wind. I could see me in the balloon, standing next to Professor Steg, with my mouth open. I looked miserable. My Professor Steg, gave me the emerald. I raced down the rope ladder and placed the emerald back into the face's eye. Then, as the volcano stopped erupting, I looked around for the milk. I knew it had landed on Splod's head when it fell. Fortunately, the milk had fallen into a small drift of volcanic ash and was unharmed. I picked it up, brushed it off, and started back up the balloon's ladder. Professor Steg pressed the button. The sky went dark. We were floating above a landscape of ominous towers and disquieting castles. It was not a friendly place. Bats flew across the sky in huge flocks, crowding out the waning moon. "I don't like this place," I told Professor. "I don't see why not," he said. "It looks as if it would be very nice when the sun comes up." There is the night sky. There was a loud flut, and where the bats had been fluttering, several paled people were now standing. The man in front had a very bald head. They all had sharp teeth. "We are vampires," they said. "What is this?" "Who are you?" "Answer us or we will vivisect you." "I am Professor Steg," boomed the Stegosaurus. "This is my assistant. We are on an important mission." Those are the people they came across. "I'm trying to get back to the present. My assistant is trying to get home to the future for breakfast." At the word breakfast, all the vampires looked very excited. "We have not had our breakfast," they told us. "We normally have wiggly worms with orange juice on them. Orange juice makes worms even wigglier, like a wandering spaghetti. But if we cannot eat worms, we will eat assistant, or even roast professor." One of the vampires took out a fork and looked me up and down in a hungry sort of way. The baldest, most bulging-eyed, rattiest of the vampires said, "What is this box?" "It is my finest invention," began Professor Steg. "Proudly," I interrupted. "It is to keep sandwiches in," I said. "Sandwiches?" said the vampire. "Sandwiches," I said, with as much certainty as I could muster. "We thought it was a time machine," said the head vampire with a sly, sharp smile, "and we could use it to invade the world." "Definitely sandwiches," I told him. "What happens if I press this button then?" asked a lady vampire. She had long black hair that covered most of her face and peered out at the world with one suspicious eye. She pressed the button. We went forward 6 hours in time. "See," said the professor happily, "all this place needs to brighten up is a little bit of sunshine." The head vampire said, "What?" and dissolved into a cloud of oily black smoke, and so did all his friends. And we are going to leave it there. See you tomorrow for the next instalment. Bye for now.